Emily woke up before the alarm clock went off. The small apartment in suburban Houston was still bathed in the faint light of early morning, quiet enough for Emily to hear the steady whir of her mother's oxygen machine. Today was the most important day of her life, the full-time job interview she had been waiting for months. After 2 years of her mother's severe illness, the cost of medication, hospital fees, and regular checkups had become an unbearable burden. Emily worked all sorts of part-time jobs: restaurant server, night shift cashier, sometimes even taking on weekend house cleaning. Despite pushing herself to exhaustion, she couldn't manage to save much. All the money she earned vanished into never-ending bills. She walked over to her mother's bedside where the woman lay on her side, her complexion pale, but her eyes were still full of tenderness when she saw her daughter. Emily sat down, took her frail hand, and forced a smile to hide the fear in her heart. "Mom, I'm going to do well today. If I just get past this interview, we'll be fine." Her mother tried to smile. "Emily, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just be yourself, that's enough. You've tried so hard." Emily paused for a moment. Every time her mother said that, she wanted to burst into tears, but not today. She took a deep breath, nodded, and turned to adjust the collar of her suit jacket in the old mirror opposite. In the mirror was a young woman with dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep, but her gaze shone with determination. Emily had studied all night to review interview questions, listing every skill and experience from the temporary jobs she had held. She had to make the recruiters believe she was strong enough, patient enough, and valuable enough to be hired. When she stepped out the door, the sky hadn't fully brightened yet. The cold morning air made her feel more awake. She checked her train ticket, wallet, and job application. Everything was ready. There was only one step left: arrive at the company on time and showcase everything she had. But when she reached the subway station, a long line of people was crowding in front of the electronic board. Emily looked up, and her heart sank. Train delayed by 15 minutes due to track accident. She frowned. Although she had left early, time was starting to run tight. If the train arrived on time, she would still have enough time to catch the next connection and get to the company about 10 minutes before the interview, just enough to tidy herself up, take a few breaths, and walk in with a confident appearance. But if there were any more incidents, she dared not think further. Emily kept checking her watch, her foot tapping on the platform floor, as if counting every second that passed. Those around her, office workers, students, the elderly, also clearly showed their annoyance. But for Emily, the anxiety was more profound. Today was not just an interview. It was a chance to change her life and help her mother escape the days of uncertainty. When the train finally rolled into the station, people immediately surged forward like a strong current. Emily was pushed into the middle of the crowd, nearly losing her balance. Inside the cramped carriage, the mix of human warmth, breathing sounds, and continuous announcements made her even more tense. She clung to the handrail, trying to focus on her breathing, reminding herself, "Don't panic. I still have time. Just get there." Upon reaching the central station, Emily practically rushed out of the train, running quickly through the crowd, pouring out like a waterfall. She had exactly 20 minutes left before the interview time. The company was only about 10 minutes away on foot. She knew she would still make it if she didn't stop, but as she ran past a row of benches near the exit, she saw a white-haired old woman, about over 70, sitting slumped over one hand, clutching her chest, her breathing shallow and fast. No one stopped. Everyone was rushing to their workplace, to class, to their own appointments. People just brushed past her as if she didn't exist. Emily froze. She checked her watch, 18 minutes left. She could ignore it. Just turn away and keep running, and she would be on time. But for a moment, Her mother's face flashed in her mind, those same moments of exhaustion, those same quick breaths. Emily couldn't abandon someone in such pain. Her conscience wouldn't allow her to do that. She turned back and ran to the old woman. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Emily asked, her voice full of worry. The old woman looked up, her face pale blue, her forehead covered in sweat. I feel a little dizzy. My heart might be beating too fast. Please, sit still. I'll get you some water." Emily quickly ran to the vending machine, buying the only bottle of water she had enough change for. She opened the cap, supported the old woman's hand, and offered her the bottle to drink in small sips. "Slowly, ma'am. Drinking too fast will make it worse." When the old woman's color gradually improved, she looked up at Emily's suit. "Young lady, you're going to an interview, aren't you?" Emily hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, today is very important to me, but I couldn't leave you." The old woman held her hand, her touch shaky but warm. "You are so kind. A person with a heart like yours will surely be rewarded." Emily nearly cried, but time was slipping away. She stood up, bowing deeply. "Please rest for a bit. I have to go now, or I'll be late. Go on, be careful. And don't worry, everything will be all right." That gentle wish seemed to empower Emily. She turned and ran at full speed, her shoes tapping rapidly on the pavement. She didn't care if her hair was messy or her jacket was wrinkled. She just needed to get to the right place. When the company building appeared before her eyes, the clock showed 3 minutes past the interview time. In the elevator, she tried to fix her messy hair, but the more she tried, the worse it got. Her breathing was ragged, her face flushed from running. At the reception desk, she was met by a staff member with sharp eyes. "You are Emily Walker?" "Correct, you are 3 minutes late. I apologize. The subway was delayed, and there was an elderly woman. We did not ask for reasons." The receptionist's voice was as hard as steel. Emily bit her lip, nodded, and walked into the waiting room. Inside, other candidates, neat, well-dressed, radiating the confidence of students from prestigious universities, sat properly. Seeing Emily with her disheveled hair, wrinkled jacket, and dirty shoes, a few glanced and whispered. A male student sitting next to her even chuckled mockingly. Emily lowered her head. "I'm useless. I don't belong here," she thought. But immediately, she remembered her mother. She could not give up. When her name was called, Emily walked into the interview room with heavy legs. 3 interviewers, 2 men, 1 woman, were seated with serious expressions. First, the oldest man said, "Why are you late?" I sincerely apologize. The subway was delayed due to an accident, and when I left the station, there was an old lady. We are not asking for an excuse." The man cut her off. A professional should anticipate that. Emily tried to explain further, even telling them about helping the elderly woman, but the faces before her remained annoyed. A female interviewer looked Emily up and down. "So, besides apologizing and recounting your situation, do you have anything else to say?" Emily tried to recall what she had prepared 3 part-time jobs. Customer service skills, working while taking night classes. But her mind was blank. She stammered. I have to support my sick mother, so I work many jobs. I try very hard." The interviewers exchanged glances, as if confirming they had wasted their time. "Late before even starting. And this is your answer," one person said. "I don't think we need to ask any more questions," the oldest man concluded. "You are not qualified. The other candidates are clearly superior." Emily stood frozen as they began to tidy their papers, as if the interview was over and she was no longer of any value. When she stepped out into the hallway, her heart felt crushed. She leaned against the wall, her hands trembling. "Mom, I'm sorry. I failed again. In that silent space, just as Emily was about to collapse the lobby, area suddenly became chaotic. The CEO is here. What the CEO is personally showing up. Emily looked up, and her heart stopped. The woman walking in from the door, wearing an elegant suit, with a powerful but gentle demeanor, was the old woman she had helped this morning. Emily watched in stunned silence as the woman walked straight into the building, and the hurried staff parted to both sides. Everyone's face was both surprised and tense. No one understood why the CEO, who had almost never appeared at any recruitment event, showed up at this exact moment. But what made Emily's heart pound the hardest was that the woman was looking directly at her. She didn't pause or hesitate. As soon as she walked past the crowd, she approached Emily, as if she had known she was standing there all along. The staff whispered, "Why is the CEO going towards that girl? Who is she? A candidate? But she looks like she's just been rejected." The CEO stopped right in front of Emily. The woman who was shaking on the bench at the train station this morning now looked strong, authoritative, and radiant enough to make Emily think she was hallucinating. "It is you," she said in a warm but certain voice. Emily nearly dropped her portfolio bag. "You are," the CEO smiled. "Thank you for helping me this morning. Thanks to you, I didn't faint in the middle of the station." Everyone around who heard this was astonished. Some staff members' mouths hung open as they realized that the girl with messy hair, wrinkled jacket, and a late arrival to the interview was the one who had helped the corporation's CEO. But the most panicked person was the human resources manager, one of the interviewers who had outright rejected Emily. He had just been informed that the CEO was asking about the candidates, and he rushed over with obvious awkwardness. Ma'am, Turner. I didn't know you would be here." When CEO Turner did not let him finish his sentence. "Johnson, bring me this girl's file. Right now." Manager Johnson turned pale. Her file, ma'am, but the interview is over," and Mrs. Turner tilted her head, her eyes sharp. "Mr. Johnson, I asked for the file, not your personal opinion." The entire lobby went silent. Johnson bowed his head, stammered, and ran off almost immediately. Less than a minute later, he returned with the trembling file in his hands. Mrs. Turner opened the file, reading every line carefully. Emily stood there, clasping her hands tightly, her heart pounding, unsure what was happening. She dared not say anything. Everyone around them was fixated on the scene. Emily Walker, CEO. Turner read slowly. Mother seriously ill, solely supporting the family financially, working 3 part-time jobs simultaneously, and still completing night school program with excellent grades. The whole lobby buzzed with whispers. Some staff members even looked at Emily with a completely different expression. CEO Turner glanced at the HR manager. "Mr. Johnson, who wrote the candidate review." "Sir." "I did, and 2 other interviewers." He replied, trembling. "This is your review. Poor communication skills, lack of confidence, no growth potential." "Why, yes, ma'am, she was late. And late because the train broke down. And even later because she stopped to help someone in distress. Something you were completely incapable of doing, even as you sit there, judging others." Johnson was speechless, his face turning red, then unable to utter a word. Mrs. Turner closed the file. "Someone like Emily is rejected. Then the problem is not with the candidate, but with the recruitment team itself." The air around them was so heavy that everyone was practically holding their breath. "Prepare a conference room," CEO Turner announced loudly. "I will interview Emily myself." The whole lobby seemed to explode. There was no precedent for a CEO to personally interview a fresh graduate candidate. The staff whispered in amazement. Manager Johnson tried to protest. "But ma'am, this is unprecedented. You just said the word unprecedented, didn't you, Pa?" Turner looked him straight in the eye. If we only relied on precedents, this company would have collapsed a long time ago. Johnson immediately fell silent. 2 staff members hurried away to prepare the conference room. Meanwhile, CEO Turner turned to Emily. Her expression softened again. "Come on, dear. We will do the right thing that should have been done from the start." Emily was still too stunned to react. But when Mrs. Turner's warm hand gently touched her elbow, her feet automatically followed. In the small but formal conference room, Emily sat down, her face flushed with nervousness. CEO Turner sat opposite, placing the file on the table, removing her glasses, and looking at her with eyes full of trust. First, she said softly, "I want to thank you again for this morning, but I don't want to interview you just because of that." Emily lowered her head. I only did what anyone should do. Not everyone would do what you did." CEO Turner shook her head gently. When people are in a rush, they often forget kindness. Emily squeezed her hands tight. "I just couldn't abandon her. I thought of my mother. She often has trouble breathing like that." The word mother choked Emily up, trying to hold back tears. CEO Turner opened the file and continued reading. "You worked and studied supporting your sick mother for 2 years. That's not easy. Do you know how much I admire that?" Emily shook her head, but her eyes were deeply moved. "Do you think you are inferior to those other candidates just because they went to more prestigious schools?" she asked. Emily was silent, then nodded very slightly. CEO Turner exhaled slowly. "You are wrong. What I am looking for is not found in any university." She stood up, walked to the window, and the sunlight shining on her face made Emily involuntarily look after her. "You know," Mrs. Turner's voice became solemn, "I was once in a situation very similar to yours." Emily looked up in surprise. "When I was in high school, my father died in a work accident. My mother was seriously ill, and my 2 younger siblings couldn't take care of themselves yet. I studied and worked 3 jobs to support the family. One day, I was so exhausted, I fainted right at the supermarket where I worked the night shift." Emily's eyes widened. She had never thought the powerful woman in front of her had gone through something like that. "When I applied for jobs, they looked at my file and laughed. They said I had no degree, no prospects. I cried all night thinking I was a failure." Mrs. Turner's voice softened. "Then one day, the owner of a small company hired me. He said, 'No one understands the value of a person who has carried a family on their back.' He gave me a chance no one else would." Emily swallowed the lump in her throat. Her heart ached when she heard the story. "And from that moment," CEO Turner continued, "I swore that one day, when I could hire people, I would look at their heart first." She turned back, stepped closer to Emily, and placed both hands on the table. "You have a strong, kind, and resilient heart. That is the kind of person I want in this company." A tear fell onto Emily's hand. "Do you want to work for us, CEO?" Turner asked, her voice so sincere that it tightened Emily's heart. I really can." Emily trembled. "I am asking you." CEO Turner smiled. "Can you start tomorrow?" Emily burst into tears. Yes, I accept." From outside the room, a few staff members secretly watched through the crack in the door, and they quickly backed away when they saw CEO Turner open the door and walk out with Emily. The interviewers who had rejected Emily stood in the hallway, their faces drained of color. No one dared to say a word. Mrs. Turner only said a brief sentence. "I will speak with you gentlemen later." Emily stood there, her heart still pounding, her hands still trembling with emotion. She had to gently pinch the pocket of her jacket to be sure she wasn't dreaming. As soon as she stepped out of the building, Emily immediately took out her phone to call her mother. Her hand was shaking so much, She almost dropped the device. "Hello, Emily." "Is that you? How did it go?" The interview. Emily burst into sobs. "Mom, I got the job. I really got the job." On the other end of the line, her mother was silent for a few seconds. Then choked sobs could be heard. "Oh God, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Emily, you are so capable. You worked so hard." Emily wiped her tears continuously because she couldn't see the road. "You don't have to worry about the cost of medicine anymore. I will take care of everything for you. Everything will be fine now." Both mother and daughter cried and laughed, their sobs mixed with joy, spreading throughout Emily's heart. And she didn't know that. This was only the beginning of a new journey. From the next day, Emily started working as a new employee at the Turner & Company Corporation. Everything felt like a dream to her. She had never thought she would share an elevator with smartly dressed office workers, sit in a bright office with large glass windows overlooking the city of Houston, or step into important projects that she previously only saw on business news. In the early days, Emily always tried twice, 3 times harder than others. Not because she was forced, but because she wanted to prove that the opportunity CEO Turner gave her was not wasted. She learned everything carefully, like a sponge absorbing water. How to write professional emails, handle spreadsheets, communicate with customers, and work in a team. Everything was a first, full of surprise, but she never backed down. What touched Emily the most was the dedicated support from CEO Turner herself. Despite her busy schedule, she always took the time to check on Emily's progress, invite her into the conference room to explain difficult concepts, or simply encourage her. "You are doing great. Keep it up." Every time she heard that, Emily felt like she was back in her childhood, being stroked on the head by her mother and praised, "You are so capable." The stable job significantly changed Emily's family life. Hospital bills were no longer a monthly obsession. Her mother could afford better medicine and have regular checkups at a better quality hospital. Emily even started to save a little money, something she had never thought possible before. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Emily was no longer the girl with messy hair and wrinkled clothes who came to the first interview. She had become one of the most highly regarded employees in the Human Resources Department, the very department that CEO Turner suggested she transfer to after noticing Emily's dedication and ability to understand people. Many wondered why CEO Turner cared so much about Emily, but those who had heard her story understood Emily was a reflection of her younger self, a young woman full of resilience and compassion. Emily also never forgot the person who changed her life. She always remembered Mrs. Turner's words, "Those who have experienced suffering will understand the value of kindness more than anyone else." Because of this, Emily always tried to treat all interview candidates kindly, no matter how clumsy, shaky, or unconfident they were. She understood that sometimes a person only needed a single opportunity to change their whole life. One spring morning, as Emily was checking the list of candidates for the day, she noticed a file. It made her heart skip a beat. Name: Melissa Carter. Age 22. Circumstances: mother passed away early. Alcoholic father abandoned the family, supporting a younger brother in middle school alone through part-time work. Emily looked at those words and was reminded of herself 3 years ago. She quietly closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Life is truly strange. Everyone can unexpectedly see an image of themselves in someone else. In the interview waiting room, Melissa sat anxiously at the end of the row of chairs. She wore a suit that clearly didn't fit, perhaps hand-me-downs from someone. Her hair was neatly tied up, but slightly crooked-looking, hastily done. Her hands gripped a stack of papers, likely her job application, or some self-prepared notes. A male candidate sitting next to her was panting heavily with nervousness. Melissa turned and quietly asked, "Are you okay?" Her voice was soft, mixed with a slight tremor. The young man awkwardly nodded. Melissa offered him a cheap bottle of plain water. "I'm nervous too, but if you have someone alongside, it might be a little better. Keep calm." Emily watched from a distance, the corner of her lips curving slightly. The light of kindness, no matter how small, always shines in a very distinct way. She walked over to Melissa, smiling warmly. Melissa jumped up in surprise, seemingly unaware that the person opposite her was today's interviewer. "Hello," Emily said. "Are you ready?" Melissa tried to remain composed, but her voice still trembled. "Yes, I think. I'll try my best." The interview began. The other interviewers quickly showed their impatience. Melissa stuttered several times sometimes, forgetting what she was saying, and the way she tried to appear strong only made her shake more. One male interviewer even sighed and turned to his colleague, as if they were wasting time on a candidate who was clearly unsuitable. Melissa bowed her head. Her shoulders hunched. I'm sorry. I'm a bit nervous." Only then did Emily speak. "It's okay, take your time. You can start over if you like." Melissa looked up so surprised that she forgot to tremble. Emily smiled, nodding gently. And then Melissa told her story. About losing her mother at the age of 15. About her father abandoning them. About the freezing American nights when she had to work the late shift at a gas station while still attending class the next morning. About the younger brother she loved more than herself. Those words were so genuine that they touched Emily's heart. Every sentence, every word seemed to speak for her own past self. When Melissa finished, she looked down at the table, softly asking, Do I have a chance? I know I'm not as capable as everyone else." Emily did not answer immediately. She just looked at Melissa for a long time with a profound gaze. After the interview, Emily went straight to CEO Turner's office. She was looking at documents, but immediately looked up when she saw Emily walk in. "You look thoughtful today," she said. "Did you meet someone interesting?" Emily sat down opposite her, nodding. "There was a young girl, very much like I was 3 years ago." CEO Turner smiled. "Oh, tell me about it. The girl has a very difficult background, but her kindness is intact, and she tried so hard that she was close to giving up. Someone like that deserves an opportunity." CEO Turner listened attentively, nodding. "Which department do you think she's suitable for?" she asked. Emily answered immediately without thinking human resources. "Just like me back then." Mrs. Turner smiled proudly. "If it were Emily 3 years ago, I would hire her right away. And if the Emily of today recommends someone." "I trust her even more," Emily bowed deeply. "Thank you for everything." Mrs. Turner placed her hand on the back of Emily's hand. "You have grown so much. Now it is your turn to help others, just as I helped you." That day, Emily personally informed Melissa of the result. The girl stood frozen for a few seconds, then burst into tears right in the small conference room. "Really? Someone like me got the job?" Melissa asked through her tears. Emily replied softly, "It's not about where you come from or what you've been through. What matters is that you have a heart that no one can teach you. You deserve this." Melissa buried her face in her hands, tears flowing nonstop. At that moment, Emily realized she had just passed on the very opportunity that Mrs. Turner had given her 3 years ago. It wasn't pity. It was a continuation. An invisible thread passed from one person to another like an unspoken legacy kindness. Emily's life from then on was more peaceful, but also more profound. Every month, she dedicated the last Sunday to taking her mother for a checkup and then driving her around the park. Every season, her mother brought along the woolen scarf that Emily had bought with her first official salary. Every time she saw it, Emily remembered how her life had changed from the day she stopped to help a strange old woman at the train station. Mrs. Turner occasionally checked in on Emily. Sometimes they sat together talking about the past, about the people they had helped, and about the people Emily would help in the future. And every month, without realizing it, Emily told herself one thing: if she saw someone struggling, frightened, needing a hand, she would be the one to stop, just like someone had stopped for her long ago. One late summer afternoon, as Emily was tidying up papers in the office, her mother called. "Emily, are you very busy today? I'm about to leave Mom. Are you all right?" "I'm great. I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. My daughter is so capable." Emily smiled, a warm feeling spreading through her chest. "I'm proud of you too." On the way home, Emily saw her reflection in a store window, a young woman with a determined gaze and a hopeful smile. She knew her journey wasn't over, and she knew there would be many other lives just like hers, years ago needing a small door to step into the light. She would help them one person at a time. The accidental meeting with Mrs. Turner on that fateful morning did not just change Emily's life. It became a seed. And now that seed was sprouting, spreading, passing from one generation to the next. Because kindness always comes back.